the centroid is the point of intersection of all three medians of the triangle. So let's talk about the median. And so the median of a triangle is the segment that connects the midpoint to the opposite vertex. So if you find the midpoint for all three sides and then connect each one in a line segment to the opposite vertex, you will find your centroid. Select all three sides, hit Control M. It'll find the midpoint for each of those, and then just connect each one. So here's one midpoint, or one median. Here's a second median. And again, once we have that, we don't need the third one, but the third one can just confirm what we have. Find the intersection of those, and that intersection is called the centroid. Okay, the centroid of a triangle is its balance point. It's the center of gravity for the triangle. What that means is if you were to cut out this triangle and try to balance it on a nail or a pencil, if you place that right on the centroid, it would balance perfectly. So it is the balance point for the triangle. So do you think that'll ever fall outside the triangle? No, it's going to stay in the interior of the triangle. Okay, the other unique thing about the centroid is it cuts off each median into a ratio of 2 to 1. So what that means is, and we can confirm it with a measurement, if we took this measure right here, the distance from B to the centroid, and we compared it to the distance from the centroid to this other point C, what we would find is that the centroid to point C is twice the length of the centroid to point B. And we can calculate that and test it. 2 times this distance is equal to, and what you're going to see is that no matter where you push your triangle, this distance from the centroid to point C is always going to be double the length centroid to point B. Okay, so here's kind of what that means or gives you. What that means is if I told you that this length right here was 5, what does that mean this length is going to be? Double it, or 10. And what if I told you that this length here was 18? What does that mean this length is going to be? You can see the ratio of 2 to 1 is in favor of the portion of the median that is closest to the angle, furthest away from the side. So here's this side of 18, segment of 18. So what's this remaining segment going to be? Half of that. It's a 2 to 1 ratio. And then finally, you can think of, if I told you this whole thing was 21, what does that mean this portion down here is going to be? If the part-to-part ratio is 2 to 1, that means that you have 2 out of how many total parts? The longest part is 2 out of a total of 2 plus 1 or 3 parts, versus the shorter part is 1 out of that total of 3. So what fraction of 21 is this shorter part going to be? It's 1 out of 3, so it's 7, which means this upper part is 2/3 of 21. 2/3 of 21 is 14. 14 is also double 7, so it's consistent with that relationship. Okay, so this is the centroid is what you will often be using when it comes to the calculations of this section. So be prepared for these relationships, this 2 to 1 or 2/3 or 1/3 of the whole thing.